Hello again, this is John Wild, here to give you a look at vintage action figures. Today we will be looking at Gabriel Toys Legend of the Lone Ranger from 1982. The Legend of the Lone Ranger was an attempt to reboot the Lone Ranger franchise with a new big budget movie. The previous Lone Ranger, TV and movie actor Clayton Moore, was getting up in age, and the owners of the Lone Ranger franchise wanted to go with a younger, fresh-faced actor. But the producers of the new film then filed a lawsuit ordering Clayton Moore to cease and desist his public appearances as a Lone Ranger at auto shows, county fairs, and children's hospital visits. This outraged longtime Lone Ranger fans and started this new production on its path to obscurity. The Legend of the Lone Ranger movie was a disaster. The star, Clinton Spilsbury, was so terrible on the delivery of his lines that his spoken performance was dubbed by actor James Keach. The Lone Ranger doesn't appear until after 1 hour of the film, and changes to the Lone Ranger origin didn't sit well with the fans. Universal Pictures premiered the film on May 22, 1981 at a cost of $18 million, but only managed to earn $12.5 million back at the box office. But toy company Gabriel Toys had purchased the Lone Ranger merchandising rights, previously producing a 12-inch Lone Ranger line. They went forward with a 3 3/4-inch scale to match the size of Kenner Star Wars and produced 5 figures and 3 horses. The action figures were very similar to Kenner Toys' Butch and Sundance line from 1979, matching the leg articulation to ride on the horses. Let's take a look at these figures. The figures were sold individually or as 2-packs with figure and horse. A cardboard Western Town was offered for 4 proofs of purchase points and is the most difficult piece to find from this collection. Let's take a look at the Western Town. Now let's look at the figures and the horses. First we'll look at the carded examples, starting with the Lone Ranger. And now Tonto. General George Custer. Buffalo Bill Cody. And finally, Butch Cavendish. I own 2 different card backs of the Gabriel Legend of the Lone Ranger toys. This is the example A. And this is the second example that doesn't offer the Western Town, possibly the first issue. And now the horses, first with Silver, Tonto's horse, Scout, and finally, Butch Cavendish's horse, Smoke. And now the figures on their corresponding horses. The poor movie did not help the sales of these toys. Except for the Lone Ranger, the rest of these toys hung on pegs at Child's World and KB Toys for years. The accessories to these figures are ridiculously small and are almost never found with these figures. This makes the Legend of the Lone Ranger toys an overlooked collectible of the 1980s. Carded examples flood the market and can be purchased for a reasonable cost compared to other toy lines produced in the same era, the Western Town being the exception, as this is considered a holy grail find. As a child, I enjoyed these figures, and I'm proud to have them in my collection. That has been my look at Gabriel Toys Legend of the Lone Ranger from 1982. Please like and subscribe to catch my latest uploads, and questions and comments are always welcome. Until next time, hi-ho silver, away!